Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith. This is part 2 of our frequently asked questions series, so let's get to it. Scott King asks, if you had to live in a board game, which board game would you live in? Oh, Scott, I don't know if I'd want to live in any board game. I mean, mostly these games present us with problems or conflicts that we need to solve or resolve. I don't know that I would really seek that out if I could help it. In King of Tokyo, giant monsters. No thanks. Space Hulk, crazy zealots and more monsters. No thanks. Even something like Village, where you're trying to raise your family up and gain some notoriety. You win essentially by rushing them to an early grave. That's not great. Snakes and ladders. Snakes! I don't want lots of snakes. So, I don't know. I think, you know what? I think Tokaido. That is a game, you're taking a nice walk, eating some good food, meeting some interesting people, doing a little shopping? Yeah, okay, I'll say Tokaido. Michael Vandergag asks, what is your favorite game mechanic? This is sneaky, Michael, because you know I won't say what my favorite games are. But favorite game mechanic, okay, we'll let this one go. I think probably one of my favorites is hidden orders. I really like when there's some element of the gameplay that both players are doing at the same time, but they're doing it in a hidden way, and then you reveal. So this could be like how combat is resolved in Kemet, or just the entire order phase of a game like a Game of Thrones, 2nd edition, where every player is secretly placing orders for all their troops on the board, and then everyone reveals. But up to that point, you're claiming what you're doing, you're trying to negotiate and get people to do what you think would be helpful to you, trying to form alliances. At some point, you're going to reveal and show that you've broken alliances with somebody. I do enjoy that. I really like when combat involves some kind of hidden card play as well, because I don't mind the randomness of dice. It's exciting, it's dynamic. But I like when some element of it is something that I can try to determine if I think it through. Okay, I have this number of cards in my hand, I know how many cards you have, I know which cards you've played already, I think I know what you have left, and now I'm trying to guess, what would you do if I was in your shoes? And then therefore, what should I play to counteract that? So it's not perfect information, there's still an element of randomness, but that randomness isn't fate, it is how your brain works, how you think things through, and what you think I think you're thinking I'm going to do. Does that make any sense? I don't know. That's my answer. Gediminas Uvicius asks, what do you think about your success from Mansions of Madness to now? And can you give any advice for how to reach something similar? Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to have an outlet for a certain amount of creative energy that has found a modest but enthusiastic audience. That's been very rewarding for sure. I don't know that I really have helpful advice necessarily. There's not really a particular method I follow when shooting the videos. I just do it in the way that seems right to me. It's not necessarily the most efficient way or effective way. To give you an example, a 30-minute instructional video. I was doing the math recently on this. It takes me about 8 hours of just shooting video to come up with that 30 minutes. And that doesn't include the time to script the video and to edit it. So I guess my advice would be, keep it simple at first and find out whether or not you find the work satisfying. Not happy. Now, don't ask yourself, is this making me happy? Because eating pizza and playing board games makes me happy. What gives me the energy to continue doing it is that I find it satisfying to do. And that's why I keep coming back and doing more. Pete Sheary asks, when you make scrambled eggs, do you splash some milk in them to make them fluffy? Or do you keep them au naturel? Pete, I do neither, actually. I throw butter in, and then I stir it constantly while keeping a very even, steady heat. And I totally stole this method from Gordon Ramsay. I'll put a link in the description of this video to another video by him that shows you how to make fantastic scrambled eggs. Paul Sanchez asks, when is the right time to bring out a medium or heavy game to your new gaming group? Oh boy, Paul, I don't know that there's necessarily a right time. I'm pretty sure there's lots of terrible times, because after a month, it may still not be the right time to introduce a heavy game. And so what that tells me is it's not about the time, it's about the people. So you need to know your gaming group. So in that sense, you certainly don't want to be the first 2 or 3 meetings you have. I think you want to wait until after you know what people enjoy, what they're capable of. And then if you think you've got something that's a little higher, a little more complex than what you've been playing so far, let people know that up front. Say, listen, here's another game. I know it really well. I'm happy to teach people. Is anyone else interested in taking the plunge with me? And we'll find out together whether or not this is a good fit for our group. And the most important thing I think you can do is to know that game inside and out. And the best way I think you can assess that, it's hard to assess this on your own, but I think what you can do is try to teach yourself the game out loud. I mean, it's like sit in a room by yourself and explain the game out loud to yourself. If you find that awkward, if you're tripping over your words, if you're forgetting rules, or you're not happy with the order that you're presenting things in, well, that's a good indicator of what it's going to be like for your audience when you're trying to teach them the game. And you don't want that to happen, right? You want it to be a smooth process, because if it is, if you are able to successfully present the game, then people, even if they don't like the game itself, will be more open to the whole process of trying to learn more complicated games, which will give you another opportunity in the future to try again. Super Cheese asks, Rodney, how did your wife react when you told her you wanted to do Watch It Played full time? And how does she feel about it now? Well, my wife is no idiot. She immediately had me declared mentally unstable. Her and the kids moved out. She married a surgeon, and they have a wonderful life together. So she's thrilled with how everything turned out. No, I'm kidding, of course. Christy's been very supportive. Really, if she wasn't, then I wouldn't be able to do this. She works full-time, and she helps make up the rather significant difference in me doing this full-time as opposed to doing a more traditional job career like I used to have. But she recognizes that I'm getting a great deal of satisfaction out of this. We are doing a little better each year on the fundraiser, and that certainly helps as well. Our biggest concern is that the show be financially sustainable. If it can be, then I'll keep doing it. If it can't be, well then, you know what, I've had a wonderful time doing this. It's been really a very interesting, rewarding experience. It's something I've been able to do with my children as well, and all of that will have been worth it in its own way. Makliamoto573 asks, how did you discover modern board games? Actually, the best answer for this is the Geek of the Week video that I shot. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video if you'd like to get the full answer. Pete Sheary asks, what tips or suggestions would you give for getting started in the game industry? Well, Pete, I'm no expert in this area, but I would recommend that you listen to Board Game University. This is a podcast by Tom Vassell where he interviews designers, publishers, distributors, people who are connected to the industry, who will not just share insights about how it all works, but also advice on how you can get started. Personally, I would recommend that you just find a way to get plugged in. So get to meet and know some of these different designers and publishers. You can do that sometimes by interacting with them on BoardGameGeek, on Twitter, but also volunteer at conventions. They often need people to work in the booth to help out. They're looking sometimes for play testers. Whatever it is, find something you can do to make yourself helpful and useful. People will recognize that, and then you can build on those relationships. Golden Sight Video asks, will you do an all bloopers episode? No, probably not. I shoot a lot of footage, and I can't really keep it. So unless there's a lot of bloopers in one single episode, then most of the footage just gets deleted once I'm done editing an episode together. But I do enjoy being able to add the bloopers in on occasion. But most of my bloopers are not terribly funny. It's just usually me stumbling over words over and over and over again, and no one needs to see that. Natural 20 Films asks, is there a game designer that you like so much you'd buy a game just because their name is on the box? Again, asking me to pick my favorites. You know I don't like this. All right, I'll give you 4. Antoine Bauza, Stefan Feld, Vlaada Chvatil, and Vega. Now, there's lots of other designers that I've played games I really like Jerry Hawthorne. But I've only played one game by Jerry Hawthorne, so I wouldn't list him as one I would just buy sight unseen. These other designers, they have a series of games that I own or in my collection, and so I feel like they have kind of a proven track record as games that Rodney enjoys. So that's why I chose them. Question, where did you get the new gaming table? What new gaming table? Oh yeah, that gaming table. I didn't want to have a whole episode dedicated just to announcing, hey, we have a new tabletop surface here on Watch It Played. But I felt like I needed to mention it somewhere, or I would get a lot of very reasonable questions asking, where did this come from? Well, it came from my wife's cousin's husband, who I paid to build this table for us. And it's got a couple of really nice features that's going to help out. One of the main things is that this insert can pop out, and then I can put a different insert in with a different color fabric. And that's important because sometimes we're featuring games that have a lot of dark or black components, and they just disappear into this black fabric, and you can't really see them. And that always kind of bothered me. So it'd be nice to have those options. Also, this is a bigger surface as well, so if we want to put a bigger game out, we can do that. And one of the main things is before we were using a folding table, because it was inexpensive, that's the main reason, and the folding table has a crease here in the center. And that means the two sides never perfectly come together flush. So if I had a tile right in the center, then it could wobble back and forth. And if you had that up against tiles on either side, it would look like one of the sides wasn't joining up perfectly, as if maybe the components were warping. And that was never the case. It's just I didn't have a perfectly flat surface here. So again, I really appreciate what Blair was able to build for us here. I think it's going to have been worth the investment in the long run. Obviously, when we shoot the videos, we won't be shooting them at this distance. We'll be closer like we normally are, but I just wanted to give you a sense of the whole scope of the table here. And also, I think we're going to have another frequently asked questions video, because I wasn't able to get to all of the questions in this one, but I think next episode we'll be able to wrap everything up, unless you ask more questions between now and then. So we'll see what happens. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.